It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and 9 a.m. in Los Angeles, California. And this is CarEdge Live for Monday, November 17th, with your host, me, right here in Ventnor, and, well, Zach, there in L.A. And may I say, I read a lot of comments in our comment section, and people comment often that what we're doing is God's work. Now, what we're doing is just trying to help people.
Wow.
What you did yesterday is God's work.
Oh.
And what do I mean by that? My son is in LA because he attended a fundraiser for the Lung Cancer Foundation of America yesterday. And I lost my wife, his mother, to lung cancer 8.5 years ago. And for you to do what you do, that's God's work. What we do, this is just abject BS. Okay, we are helping people, but not to the same degree that what you're doing out there in California today is that's real work.
Thank you, Dad.
To say that.
Proud dad moment, which I appreciate. For those of you that are unfamiliar, earlier this year, fortunate to join the board of Lung Cancer Foundation of America, so working with that team really closely. If you know anyone who's been impacted by lung cancer, if you yourself have been impacted with lung cancer, or quite frankly, if you have, even if you haven't smoked in your lifetime, you should just contemplate getting a screening. Lung cancer, Dad, the incidence rate actually happens as significantly to non-smokers as it does to smokers. So please, Dad, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is you should get a screening. You're of age, you were a smoker earlier in your life, you absolutely should get a lung cancer screening. And yes, it was really fun out there yesterday doing this fundraiser. So appreciate it, Dad. Today's show, we'll get on to the car talk in just a moment here, is brought to you by CarEdge.com. So if we can help you out, folks, please check it out. It's the company my dad and I started 6 doggone years ago. So please, if you are interested in buying a car, if you need help buying a car, check out our car buying service. It's $150 off, or CarEdge Pro, it's 15% off. Check out the website, CarEdge.com. Learn why CarEdge is built to help you buy a car, not here to help the dealer sell one. Now, the big story this morning, Dad, that I wanted to spend time on, thanks again for shining that bright light on me, I really appreciate it, is we have record-setting number of Americans. We have a record-setting number of Americans who are choosing to stop paying their car loans. The latest and greatest data shows that we have the highest incidence rate of auto loan delinquency, especially among subprime borrowers. And as far as the data set goes back, Dad, so let's start the conversation here. Subprime auto delinquencies climb again as financial strain deepens for many borrowers. What's going on when it comes to auto loans and those who have borrowed money to buy vehicles here in the United States?
Well, let me first say this. I don't think more Americans are refusing to make their insane car payments. I think they are unable to make their insane car payments. That if suddenly you have to make a choice between food and a car payment, I'm just guessing, I'm spitballing here, but I'm guessing food wins out over car payment. And so what we're seeing is the highest delinquency rates on subprime loans. Now, what are subprime loans? People with credit scores below 600 or below 620. People who have exhibited in their lifetime an inability to handle their credit in a manner in which the banks would like them to. And so because of that, for them to get credit, that when they do, it's at rates that are from, say, 19.99% to 29.99%. And
so if you look at this chart, Dad, then what becomes even more damning is what we're looking at here is the incidence rate of delinquency broken down by subprime versus prime credit. The prime is the blue line, subprime is the red line. The record-setting auto loan delinquencies and ultimately what will yield repossessions is disproportionately impacting those that have poor credit, to your point. Look at that line, Dad. Subprime auto loan delinquency rates are the highest we have ever seen. This goes back to the early 90s. Yet prime delinquency rates are actually quite low relative to historic levels that we've been at. So this is, to your point, those that get stuck with the 19+% interest rates. Those are the people who I said they are refusing to make their insane car payments. I think you could be onto something. They just can't afford to make those car payments. And then it exacerbates what we're seeing here in the chat from Igor. 3 million repos are expected when this year ends. That's what financial institutions are saying. More repossessed vehicles making their way back into the market. This chart is scary. All caps on that. The fact that subprime delinquency rates are skyrocketing the way they are is not good, not a good sign.
It's not only is it scary, it's damning. And what do I mean by that? These subprime lenders who are preying on these subprime customers know that a bigger chunk of their loan portfolio is not going to get paid. They know that a higher percentage of their customers are going to be unable to make those payments that they just signed those people up for. They know it, and they knew it when they approved them for the loan. So it's damning on a couple of levels. One, it's almost predatory for some of these lenders to approve loans that they're approving. And it is a continuation of financial suicide on behalf of people who have proven over the course of time that they are unable to properly handle credit when it is extended to them. So it's damning in the sense that we failed these people. We have failed to educate the vast majority of people here in the United States. Financial literacy is probably at the lowest levels it's been in years, and there's no reason for that. Between the advent of the internet and all the information that is available out there, for people to allow themselves to get into these situations because they haven't been properly educated as to the risks involved, that's a shame on the customer. That's a shame on the lenders. That's a shame on our educational system. It is just damning as an abject failure on behalf of society to be able to control itself.
For sure, Dad, but we are starting to see some of the ramifications, and it is damning what's happening to some of these businesses. PrimaLend, this comes from Reuters,
Yes,
which serves the quote, buy here, pay here auto financing market, where dealers sell and directly finance vehicles for customers with poor or limited credit, filed for bankruptcy protection last month. Tricolor, which sold cars and provided auto loans mostly to low-income Hispanic communities in the southwestern United States, also filed for bankruptcy in September. A further deterioration in credit quality could weigh on lenders, especially at a time when investors are highly sensitive to signs of stress in loan portfolios. So it seems like that. It seems like we're peeking our head out from under the covers just a little bit and saying, I don't know, maybe we made some bad decisions making all these auto loans. And I do, once we get through the acknowledgement that like something bad, very bad is happening in the auto industry, this does ultimately mean there will be more used vehicles for sale in the United States as repossessed vehicles make their way to dealer auctions. We've seen now for multiple weeks in a row, used car depreciation at the wholesale auctions, unprecedented levels. Yes. And as supply builds up, that should further decrease the price points for used cars. So there is a story here for those of you that are in the market and contemplating shopping. But obviously the bigger story right now is we set ourselves up, we being the foundation of American capitalism, we set ourselves up for failure here by approving so many damn auto loans that people can no longer make good on.
And we look at the percentage of delinquencies continue to increase.
Yeah.
And we would say normally to ourselves, as we see that, well, then my guess is that lenders are going to cut back on the loans that they're willing to make. And the opposite of that is true. Okay? Lenders are loosening credit standards once again to be able to keep the market going. Okay, and what
This
do
is
I
my
mean
favorite.
by
This is
that?
my favorite example of it, Dad. The Wells Fargo one. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the most asinine thing we've probably ever seen. Wells Fargo is pushing deeper into riskier auto loans. An internal memo obtained by Car Dealership Guy News shows the bank's dealer pilot program will now approve borrowers with FICO scores above or equal to 540 at up to 150% of loan to value ratio, borrowers with FICOs of 500 to 539 at 110%. Explain why this is bass backwards.
Okay, because these are people that have already proven they can't handle their credit obligations.
I
So,
mean, crap, Dad, even if you can handle your credit obligations, 150%
well,
asinine.
and so what does that mean? We've had this conversation before. Let's say a car has a value of $10,000. What Wells Fargo is saying is they will finance 150% of that, which means they finance $15,000. So 10,000 of that $15,000 is collateralized by the vehicle, and the other $5,000 is collateralized by the air that we breathe. And there is nothing there for them to get their money back if the customer not if when the customer goes bad. So it is we are perpetuating this house of cards in the auto industry, okay, where we say, well, we need to extend terms and we need to loosen credit standards in order to keep enough people in the market to buy cars. I don't know, somebody in the Trump administration just floated the concept of a 15-year auto loan in order to make automobiles more affordable.
Which
What
we know,
could go wrong with a 15-year auto loan?
just to pull it up on the screen, here's another example. This was posted on X a while ago. 2018 Mazda 3. Ultimately, what ended up happening here is you have a consumer agreeing to a 30% interest rate for 75 months.
Yes.
And ultimately, you're spending $42,217 to afford a 2018 Mazda 3 that was never worth $42,000 to begin with. What's the downside to this, Dad?
It was 13.9 was the selling price.
Yeah, so think about it. Like this is the downfall.
The
This is
amount
the
she's
downfall,
paying
Dad.
back, Zach, is 3 times the value of the damn car she bought. Think of that.
Oh man.
And if
But
that's
Dad, it's
not
affordable. It's affordable on a monthly payment basis. I'm just pulling your leg.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that is one of the contributors to this house of cards. So, if a building is built on a flimsy foundation, I believe there was this really expensive bridge that was built in China recently that just collapsed like 3 months after they opened it, after they built the damn thing. So if something is built on a flimsy foundation, the likelihood of that foundation holding is pretty slim. And so when I talk about this house of cards in financing, at a certain point, it's all going to come tumbling down. Now, when is that point? I don't know. When we start to consider a 20-year auto loan instead of 15-year, it is. We are committing more and more people to financial suicide in this country in an effort to keep the economy going and selling goods and services that people just can't afford. It's that simple.
Yeah. Oh man, Jerry hits the nail on the head here. Your payment is going towards interest and not the principal. You'll end up forever upside down, which, Dad, then exacerbates the need, quite frankly, to keep the lights of the carousel going, or the lights of the I guess, what the hell am I trying to say? To keep the lights on. Is that exacerbates the need for Wells Fargo to do 150% loan to value ratio for those who do not deserve 150% loan to value, which, to be clear here, no one should take on 150% loan to value ratio when financing anything, because to your point earlier, it's a non-collateralized loan at that point. I mean, you're buying a $10,000 car, but you're financing $15,000 for it. But to Jerry's points, because you're forever upside down, this is a very dangerous cycle. And yes, my dad did mention the 15-year car loan thing. This is from cars.com. 15-year car loans aren't a thing, but Americans are getting more comfortable with long loan terms. There is that rumor spreading online that our current administration is interested in proposing a 15-year auto loan
and a 50-year mortgage.
And the thing is,
suddenly we're going to be Japan with 100-year mortgages.
The thing is, Dad, just because you can afford it on a monthly basis does not mean you can actually afford it. You have a 10% rule. Let's talk about that for a moment here. Let's talk about how much car you can afford. How much car can you afford? What's your way of thinking about that?
Well, the way I've thought about it, and if the world bought into the way I think about it, the auto industry would collapse tomorrow. Okay, because the way I think about it is that no more than 10% of your gross monthly income should go towards your automobile. Not just the auto loan, your automobile. So what do I mean by that? Well, gas, insurance, maintenance, that all gets wrapped into the 10%. So if you make $4,000 a month gross, $48,000 a year, on my 10% rule, you can afford to spend $400 a month towards your automobile. And that has to include your automobile insurance, your gas, your maintenance, and your car payment. Okay? Now, $400 a month is not going to equate to a $40,000 or $50,000 or $60,000 automobile in today's world. So that's where the dilemma is. There's so many people out there that are trying to spend 20%, 25% of their gross monthly income towards an automobile. And that's what's getting everybody in trouble. And so if the world revolved around that 10% rule, maybe we'd be selling 12 million new cars a year instead of 15 to 16 million. Maybe we'd be selling, I don't know how many used cars a year, but it would be less, because at that point, people would be spending in the range that they can actually afford.
Dad, you have a great guide back on CarEdge.com. So go ahead, folks, please Google search, how much car can I afford, space CarEdge, and this guide will pop right up. Everything you just said, as well as this OG video we created. I mean, this is years old at this point. I don't even recognize those two guys and the thumbnail right there. You got to go check out this page and learn more about the 10% rule. And Dad, I see multiple people in the chat asking questions when it comes to car insurance, because we know car insurance has gone up so much here in the United States, and that obviously factors into how much car you can afford. For those of you that are unfamiliar, go to CarEdge.com, and then in the top navigation, click on insurance up there. Not only can we help you research when it comes to finding expected insurance costs when you go to buy a vehicle, we can also help you shop those insurance rates. So please, please, please go here, click on compare quotes. And again, just to demonstrate, if you're on the CarEdge car search, so I'll click on shop new for a moment here. And let's say you're in the market for that new Honda. Drum roll, please. We've got the Civic right here. You can go ahead and you can scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down.
You're doing a lot of scrolling there, buddy.
Dang, for some reason, the Civic hatchback, I don't have it. Let me find a different one. I'll try the CRV. Drum roll, please. There we go. We've got the expected insurance costs right there. So the expected, what is this? Cost to own for this particular vehicle over 5 years is $9,795 for insurance. I can click on that, and I can get even more data about what it's going to cost me per year, broken down by my credit rating, by my age, etc. All sorts of good resources. So please, please, please look at the guide and also think about the total cost of ownership, not just the car payment. The car payment's in some cases, Dad, the insurance might be more than the car payment.
Oh, absolutely. I have seen that. And salespeople are trained to get the customer to just concentrate on the monthly payment of the vehicle, not on anything else, not on, well, what's it going to cost to insure that vehicle? that you now have to have full coverage insurance on because there's a loan, and one of the guarantees to the bank is that you will carry full coverage insurance. And if you let your insurance lapse, you have given the bank the freedom to go ahead and obtain insurance coverage on your behalf. I will assure you of one thing: when the bank does that, they ain't shopping rates to get you the best rate. Okay, they will pay the most that you can possibly pay for that insurance. But the whole concept for a salesperson is to just get you to concentrate on your monthly car payment. Forget how much gas you might have to buy in the course of a month, or whatever fuel source. Forget whatever maintenance might be, or that you should set aside on a monthly basis. And certainly they don't want you to think about what your monthly insurance bill is going to be, because if you were to add all that up, well, when you were getting ready to sign, if you saw that big number as to what all that's going to cost you on a monthly basis, you would poop your pants. Okay, and it would just be maybe I should get up and get out of here.
Yeah,
and
do
so
the research before. Do the research before. That's I don't know any other car search out there that puts the total cost of ownership on the car. Like, you just need to have that info before you go.
Yes, absolutely.
Dad, let's come here. We've got a thoughtful contribution from Jewel on Demand. Thank you. Is it right that the Toyota dealership is telling me I have to finance with them to get the quote internet price? Seems shady. We're going to go solo shot to Dad in 3, 2, 1.
It is shady. It's slim shady. It's the internet price should not be a price that requires you to finance. That is what's known as bait and switch. Okay, it's just that simple. And I will say this, Jewel, if that is what your Toyota dealership is doing, then don't spend your money with them. Okay, just don't. Vote with your pocketbook and do business elsewhere. Why reward a business that's going to lie to you just to get you in the door? I mean, we all have decisions to make in life. One of the easiest decisions for me to make is I'm not going to reward the people that lie to me to get me there. And so, yeah, Slim Shady lives at that dealership and is seeing to it that, well, if you want that internet price, you need to finance through them.
Shady indeed. This is obviously why we encourage everyone to do things virtually before you go to the dealership. No need to waste your time. Pops, thanks for helping. Jewel, that's really, really good stuff. Let's do one more comment with regards to what we were talking about earlier, which is obviously the number of people who are refusing and can no longer afford to make their car payments continues to go up. What happens on the other side of that? From Danielle, what happens to those vehicles that get repossessed? Are they sold back to big lots or smaller lots? Where do repossessed vehicles end up at? Can you talk a little bit about what happens when the bank finally sends the repo man or woman to take your vehicle? What happens to that car?
The bank has an obligation to send that vehicle to an auction and to auction it off for the highest amount that they can get. And whatever the difference between what they get and what is still owed on the vehicle, that's known as a deficiency balance. And you, as the original borrower, that is your responsibility. Whether they come after you or not is up to the bank, but in many cases they will come after you. So as vehicles get repossessed, the bank will get them cleaned up, and they will gather them all up, and they will send them to the various auctions.
Wholesale dealer auctions, to be clear, because I think there's a lot of people,
not public auctions.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are like, I want to buy a repo vehicle. I'm going to go. They sell these vehicles at wholesale auctions. They're not like a consignment that you can go as a consumer buy. They get sold at wholesale dealer auctions. We see that in the Black Book data and the Cox Automotive data.
And if I remember correctly, we received a comment last Friday from from Igor when he was at the auctions. Normally, the auction he attends has 3 lanes for repossessions. A couple weeks ago, they opened up a 4th lane, and this past Friday, according to Igor, they opened up a 5th lane for repossessions. So that gives you some idea as to how many of these vehicles are out there. And then ultimately, these vehicles that people could no longer afford to make their payments on, and more than likely couldn't afford to maintain, will find their way back to independent used car dealers, sometimes franchise dealers as well. And that'll just become part of the used car inventory that is available for the general public to buy. And if this was a vehicle from a subprime lender, they're just looking for their next victim to saddle with another 29% interest rate loan, and the circle continues.
Yeah, Pops, I want to take a second though and stay just really laser focused on these vehicles. So there's not a way for me as a shopper to know if a vehicle is repossessed other than to ask the dealer that's selling it, or is that going to show up on a Carfax or an auto check? Because we know a lot of people, Dad, don't necessarily want to buy a previously repossessed vehicle.
I am trying to remember, and at my age, that becomes harder and harder. I can probably remember things from the mid-50s better than things I could remember from 3 years ago. But I don't recall on Carfax that they list when a vehicle has been repossessed. So it would be hard to know, which is another reason why it is imperative whenever you're looking at any pre-owned car to get a pre-purchase inspection done by an outside independent source, so that they might be able to see things that the dealer missed or that the dealer had no intentions of taking care of, so you know what the hell it is that you're getting into.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I don't think there's a bulletproof way to know if a vehicle was ever repossessed, which reinforces the need to get that pre-purchase inspection. Again, folks, if you are in the market to buy a used vehicle, there is more inventory out there than ever before. That being said, some of it are these repoed vehicles that are making it back. One other caveat to all this is that we're talking about consumer repossessed vehicles. There's actually an influx and surge in dealer repossessed vehicles, meaning car dealerships are no longer making their payments on their inventory, and banks are repossessing and then selling their vehicles at auction as well. So it's both ends of the spectrum. We think of repos as primarily John and Jane Doe stopped making their car payments. The repo man shows up, takes the car away. There's also repossessions that happen at the dealership level where you go out of trust with the bank. You stop making your payments to the bank on your inventory, and they can repossess vehicles and sell them at auction as well. And so again, we're seeing an influx of inventory, which is generally good news for those of you that have been waiting for a moment to buy a used vehicle. But it's also a scary moment for how shaky the financial system is for this part of the market. The idea of a 15-year car loan, come on, that's a sign that things are bad for sure.
Well, we've already espoused that 84-month, 96-month car loans are death spirals for people. Nobody should finance a vehicle, a regular vehicle. I'm not talking about a specialized vehicle of some kind, but a regular mode of transportation. Nobody should finance that for 7 or 8 years or 10 years or, God forbid, 15 years. The average age of vehicles on the road today is, I think, 12 and a half or 13 years old. So yes, older cars can last longer than they have, but the amount of expense in maintenance and repairs over the life of a 7 or 8 year loan, imagine what it would be over the life of a 15-year loan. So it is.
They're going to force us to update our database, man. We only go out 12 years right now. You want to know what the likelihood is of a major repair on a vehicle 12 years from now? We have the data back at CarEdge.com in the research center. We don't have 15 years. We're going to have to update it.
No, it is like financial suicide to even consider having to extend loan terms out to 15 years so that we can continue to allow people to be able to afford automobiles. Can you hear that?
We can indeed. Pops, I want to remind everyone that back at CarEdge.com right now, we've got $150 off our car buying service. So folks, if you want to skip the stress, have a dedicated car buying expert, and let them do all of the work for you, you can, and it's currently $150 off. Here's how it works. We match you with a concierge. They do the work. You get the keys. It really is that simple. I encourage everyone who's interested to have a free consultation with our team, whether it be via live chat, scheduling a time to talk with us, or having us call you back, and meet the team that works diligently to secure savings on behalf of our community members. You can click into everyone's profile, learn more about their experience, and see their cumulative savings and deals closed here with CarEdge. So please, please, please take a moment, head to CarEdge.com, click on Car Buying Service, and learn more. For those of you that prefer to do things on your own, check out CarEdge Pro, currently 15% off as well. Get an expert car buying co-pilot and the data you need to get the best deal. Check that out back at CarEdge.com and then click on CarEdge Pro. All right, Dad, the advertisement is out of the way. Let's turn our attention here from Rich. Appreciate the kind contribution, Rich. I found this concept car and it screams Ray, the 1951 Buick LeSabre. Dad, what am I about to look up here?
Well, I can honestly tell you, I don't remember what the 1951 Buick LeSabre looked like, but I would imagine it was a big-ass heavy vehicle with giant fins in the rear, is my guess. And the reason I can't remember, well, that was the year I was born, and I just didn't pay attention. I didn't know I would need to pay attention to car. Oh, my God.
That's a thing. That is a thing.
Yeah. And I think the reason Rich thought I would, that it screams me is, well, it's all nose in the front.
All nose in the front and wide hips in the back, Dad.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the wide hips, but I do know I got the big nose going for me.
Hey, we started today's show talking a little bit about the work that I was doing here in Los Angeles on behalf of Lung Cancer America. A couple members of our community have lost loved ones recently to cancer. Lost a friend here from unknown creature to glioblastoma and a brain tumor. Andrew, sending the positivity to help find a cure to cancer. I just want to share one thing on this, y'all, that really motivated me to take the leap to join the board of directors. It's this chart. This is the federal cancer research funding in 2025 as compared to 2024. And I lost my mom to lung cancer, stage 4 ALK positive lung cancer. And you can see here the federal funding for lung cancer in 2024 was $25 million. Not a huge number, but there's a huge stigma around lung cancer. So I can understand maybe why it doesn't get as much love as breast cancer, for example, or prostate cancer. But the federal funding in 2025 for lung cancer is $0. And the organization that I chose to become a part of, Lung Cancer Foundation of America, funds early career lung cancer researchers. So for example, yesterday here in Los Angeles, I was with Dr. Alice Berger. We were sitting next to each other at the fundraiser, and she works at Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center. And Dad, she's a tremendous fan of another Alice, Dr. Alice Shaw, who you and I was my mom's oncologist. So I was sitting with Dr. Berger and talking to her about the work that she does to try and through genetic research, genomic characterization of lung cancer in never smokers. I mean, she's literally at the forefront, being funded by LCFA, Lung Cancer Foundation of America, to try and find, honestly, just better treatment regimens for those that have lung cancer. So super proud of this. We're in the season of giving now. And again, for those of you, if you've been touched by lung cancer, if you know someone who's been touched by lung cancer, and hell, if you're just like over the age of 50, go get a screening. Please, please, please. It is actually Lung Cancer Awareness Month right now as well. Please, I cannot encourage you enough to learn more about this disease, learn more about the people that have to endure it. The woman I was also with yesterday, Stephanie, had ALK positive cancer, which is what my mom had. So super emotional to be hanging out with her. She was 37 when she was diagnosed. She's never smoked in her life.
Yeah, well.
The lung cancer my mom had, although my mom was a smoker earlier in life, the lung cancer she had, because it was ALK positive, insinuates and suggests it wasn't tied to her smoking.
Exactly.
You need to get a screening, Dad. It's covered by your insurance at your age and because you did previously smoke. It's also ridiculous. Lung cancer is like the only cancer that has a behavior component to actually have insurance cover it for screening. Not only do you have to be a certain age, you have to have previously smoked, even though incidence rate of lung cancer is equally as likely in non-smokers.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done to break the stigma around this. I've got 3 years on the board here, and I got a lot of work to do.
Well, as I said at the beginning of the show, you really are doing God's work. We're having fun doing what we do here and helping people when it comes to buying cars, but that's nothing in comparison to what you're trying to do.
Thank you, Dad.
And you know, when we were told that your mother had lung cancer, you know, the doctor said, "Hey, you got 6 months, get your affairs in order." And it turned out that she had the ALK mutation, and it was 2.5 years later that she passed away because there were a regimen of experimental drugs that allowed her to live an extra 2 years.
And to be clear, that ALK, Dad, that's DNA, that's genetic. That is like we went to Johns Hopkins. We were lucky. We had access to healthcare that did that genomic testing. If you're in a place that didn't have that, you're screwed. You're dead 6 months later, and it's a very painful, sad death. My mom was a special ed teacher. She ended up teaching for an extra year. She was doing a good thing for humanity all the while, you know, like, so to not fund research in lung cancer, and lung cancer kills 160,000 people a year, or 160,000 people get diagnosed per year.
Wow.
More people die from lung cancer each year than breast, colon, prostate combined. But it's stigmatized because of the smoking piece.
Yes.
So anyway, yeah, I'm fired up about it and grateful to be able to be a part of this organization. And Rich, thank you for the super.
Thank you, Rich. It's true.
How freaking lucky. But you know what? I don't get asked to join this work, Dad, if we don't have CarEdge. And we don't have CarEdge if we don't have a community. And we don't have a community if we don't help people. So it's a virtuous, it's like,
I get it.
Together. Yeah.
I get it. I do. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just proud of you. That's all.
Thanks, Pops. Okay. Anyway, why don't we call it a show? We'll come back and we'll do this all again. Oh no, I'm flying home tomorrow. We're back Wednesday?
I guess so. Yeah, I have other media commitments tomorrow. I had media commitments this morning and another media commitment tomorrow morning. But you know, I would love to have a noon show with you, but I guess we'll have a noon show on Wednesday.
We're back on Wednesday, folks. I'm traveling back to DC tomorrow. Dad, enjoy your various other media commitments. You're a busy man, and you look good in your two-tone green. We'll see you back here on Wednesday, folks. If we can help you out, CarEdge.com. Much love, Pops.
Love you, handsome. Thank you.